There are moments in motoring history when the world changes quietly. No fireworks, no parades, just a silent pulse of voltage that rewrites the way machines breathe. The 21st century found such a moment in the rise of the electric car. To some, it promised salvation. To others, it sounded like the last breath of combustion. Across social feeds and forecourts, one claim roars louder than any exhaust. Fast EVs are killing petrol sedans. But history does not end with headlines. It bends, evolves, and sometimes fights back. Because for every new empire of electrons, there is still a heartbeat of octane. And at the front of that resistance stands a machine born in Europe's industrial heart. The Škoda Octavia VRS. A petrol warrior tuned not for nostalgia, but for survival. Tonight, Gear Pulse Insight travels into the storm. A cinematic duel between speed and soul, silence and sound, voltage and fire. This is not the death of petrol. This is the moment it learns to fight smarter. The revolution began not in garages, but in boardrooms. Rising carbon targets, collapsing battery prices, and the promise of clean cities reshaped an entire industry. In the space of a single decade, global electric vehicle sales surged from thousands to millions. Governments pledged to end new petrol sales within 20 years. Investors poured billions into gigafactories. And a generation that grew up with smartphones expected its cars to feel the same: instant, connected, effortless. Electric propulsion answered that desire perfectly. No gears, no lag, no hesitation, only torque on command and silence as luxury. An electric motor does not wait to spin. It delivers all its strength the moment electrons flow. To the everyday driver, it felt like magic. To engineers, it was physics finally liberated from pistons. Names once absent from performance discussions suddenly dominated them. Tesla's Model 3 Performance, Porsche's Taycan Turbo S, Kia's EV6 GT machines producing 600 horsepower or more, sprinting to 100 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds. Petrol cars, once proud of their acceleration, now watched from behind, confused by the quiet. Manufacturers read the numbers and changed course. Ford killed its Fiesta. Volvo promised an all-electric future. Even Ferrari mapped a path to electrons. In this new order, weight no longer mattered as much as wattage, and emotion gave way to efficiency charts. To many observers, the verdict seemed obvious. The age of combustion was over. But the story was never that simple. Because while electric cars conquered spreadsheets, petrol cars still conquered hearts. In the shadow of electric progress, one badge refused to bow. Born in rally dust and refined on autobahns, the Octavia VRS was not designed to dominate drag strips. It was built to remind drivers why movement could feel alive. Beneath its understated body beats a 2-liter turbocharged engine, breathing through precision and pressure. 261 horsepower, 370 newton-meters of torque, numbers that might appear modest beside the spectacle of electric torque. Yet every figure hides a sensation: the spool of the turbo, the thrum through the steering rim, the millisecond pause before a dual-clutch downshift snaps like a snare drum. The VRS is not about silence, it is about story. Each combustion event is a syllable, each gear a punctuation mark. Where electric cars deliver acceleration as a single, unbroken line, the VRS offers paragraphs, rhythm, cadence, and climax. Across winding roads, the difference becomes tangible. Batteries add mass. Physics demands compromise. A heavy EV grips but glides, its weight masking detail. The VRS, lighter and tactile, translates every bump and camber directly into the driver's palms. It communicates, it converses, it confides. And that communication, imperfect, mechanical, human, is what keeps the old guard alive. Because speed is measurable, but connection is felt. Numbers can impress, physics decides. The modern battlefield is no longer horsepower versus torque. It is weight versus balance, endurance versus emotion. Electric cars deploy power instantly, yet they carry the burden of their batteries, 500 to 700 kilograms of dense chemistry laid beneath the cabin. Petrol sedans, by comparison, feel light on their feet. Their movements are sharp, their inertia smaller, their braking shorter. The Octavia VRS, at roughly 1,500 kilograms, dances through switchbacks with a poise that electricity still struggles to replicate. On a straight stretch, the EV surges ahead, indifferent to gears or engine notes. But in corners, the theater where driving becomes art, the petrol sedan still commands. There, throttle modulation, engine braking, and tactile steering carve emotion into asphalt. The driver becomes part of a living equation, not merely a passenger inside a computer's calculation. Yet even this arena is changing. Software-controlled torque vectoring, adaptive dampers, and regenerative braking algorithms are rewriting vehicle dynamics. Every lap around Nürburgring or Silverstone now hides lines of code as critical as mechanical parts. And that, perhaps, is the greatest irony. Both sides are evolving each other. Petrol cars gain electric aids. EVs chase mechanical feel. Rivalry, not replacement, fuels progress. The argument for electric propulsion is persuasive and pragmatic. Efficiency. Nearly 90% of energy from battery to wheels. Maintenance. No oil, no belts, minimal friction. Running costs. A fraction of petrol's appetite. But real-world convenience tells a subtler story. Charging time, infrastructure gaps, and the unpredictable reliability of public chargers remind drivers that revolution takes time to mature. A full tank still needs minutes, not hours. Range anxiety remains the quiet shadow following every long-distance journey. Environmental purity, too, is layered. Lithium, cobalt, and nickel mining draw energy from grids that are not yet carbon neutral. Manufacturing a large battery leaves a footprint that must be offset by years of clean driving before parity is achieved. In contrast, a well-maintained petrol sedan, driven thoughtfully for a decade, can equal or even undercut that total life cycle impact. Thus, the turning point is not technological, it is philosophical. Electric mobility represents convenience and cleanliness. Petrol performance represents connection and craft, and neither ideal negates the other. Instead, they define the spectrum of modern motoring: silent efficiency at one end, mechanical passion at the other. Every generation believes its machines mark the final chapter. Steam gave way to spark, carburetors yielded to fuel injection, manuals surrendered to dual clutches. Each time, purists mourned and engineers improved. The same cycle continues now, only faster and louder, ironically, in cars that are quieter than ever. Manufacturers understand this rhythm. They are blending the bloodlines: hybrid assistance for turbo engines, artificial sound design for silent motors, software that mimics the rise and fall of revs once governed by metal. Škoda's own future sketches hint at electrified VRS models. Cars that may launch in silence, but corner with the same defiant heartbeat. Driving will not disappear, it will diversify. Some will seek the calm thrust of an electric motor, others the resonant pulse of combustion. the greatest innovators will give both emotions in one experience. Because progress is not the end of tradition, it is its echo carried forward. Rivalries define human progress. Steam against sail, analog against digital, piston against pulse. Each challenger sharpens the other. Each defeat births innovation. Electric vehicles and petrol sedans are not enemies. They are twin forces pulling the same industry forward. The electric movement proves what efficiency can achieve. Instant response, minimal waste, engineering that approaches perfection. Petrol, meanwhile, reminds the world that emotion matters, that imperfection can be beautiful when it is alive and mechanical. In laboratories and design studios, engineers from both worlds quietly admire each other's strengths. EV teams study sound, feedback, and connection. Combustion experts study voltage curves and regenerative braking. They are not fighting for dominance. They are competing to inspire. And within this clash, the Octavia VRS stands as a symbol. It represents the middle ground where precision meets passion, where every shift and surge tells a story still worth hearing. To drive one is not to reject progress, but to remember why progress began, because motion itself felt magical. The road ahead is not binary. It is a mosaic: blue sparks and red flames, electrons and octane, algorithms and instincts. The cars we build reflect the choices we make. Do we chase silence or sensation? Range or rhythm? Logic or love? The answer, as always, lies not in machines, but in people. For every driver who feels the pull of an electric surge, another listens for the heartbeat of an engine echoing through a tunnel. Both are right. Both are the future. So when the next headline declares that EVs have killed petrol, remember, the rivalry is what keeps both alive. Because without resistance, there is no refinement. And without emotion, there is no evolution. This is not the end of the combustion story. It is its renaissance, rewritten by electrons, perfected by passion, and driven by those who refuse to let either side win. From the quiet hum of the charger to the roar of the exhaust, the battle continues not for dominance, but for balance. This is Gear Pulse Insight, where machines meet meaning, and the road always tells the truth.